None of those things happened. Right? We end up breaking down. Maybe I do get my 5-minute close below that level, but then we just shake about for a bit. That was the first time the buying hasn't happened. We had the dip buy, but it hasn't continued. That was the first time so far today that the dip buying wasn't met with like very aggressive action to the upside. So
What I'm looking at is I'm watching XLI like a hawk here. It's holding. It's at 134. It seems like it won't even pull back at all. And so if I get a quick pullback, yeah, I can just take money and run. But if it can keep holding here and just expand to the upside, it's not looking too bad. Really tight ascending triangle here. We'll see what happens.
well, so let's track out that trade, right? Let's just see what would happen. So that would have been the entry to the short side. And then I don't know, what are we targeting? Probably right below this low right here. That's like a 1.27. So nothing crazy, but that's the basic idea. Again, it's one of those, if there's nothing to do, like someone's asking, are we playing the longs today? Well, I wish, but I missed. Right? You had to be quick on some of those longs. So now we are
How are
we're
those small
observing.
trades doing out there? Oh, good Lord. I'm going to look at some. Let me go looking.
Yeah, now it's one of those at times that it would have been great to be one of those that trades the crazy stuff that nobody cares about. But even those, when I was looking through the gap list this morning,
Yeah.
way less than normal when it came to those.
Hood pushing.
Hood. So I mean, Bitcoin moving.
Yeah, coin not looking too bad there. Clean spark on the pullback. So there's the miners are moving. I was looking at MSTR. I was thinking about trading that today, but it's just too expensive. So I would have to trade MSTX. MST scam, you know?
Yeah. Double leverage Ponzi scheme. There's certainly nothing that can go wrong being in a double leverage Ponzi scheme.
Nothing at all, my friend. Nothing at all.
I'm kind of with you. So Rando's saying smells like a bit of a range day. I'm kind of in the same camp as you right now, just because we've done such a move off the open. We had the gap, so we were up already. And then we had such a massive move off the open. That just makes me think, yeah. So that anything could happen. We're just speculating here, but that makes me think that it could be done for the day, right? That could have been all the juice that we. And if it does, right, that's a huge victory for the bulls. I'm looking at the Qs, the Nasdaq's up 1.82%, the SPY up 1.5%. If you're the bulls, you take that. You take that win to the bank, right? You say, okay.
Yeah, I'm just looking to see if they turn it on right here and then just really push it away from us. That's really what I'm looking to see here. And I think it's like now or never, right? Like I don't think it's going to be where it pulls back and then gets turned on. I think it's more like they'll just keep it here at the highs. They'll keep it here at the highs. Now we want to see volume pickup. I want to see volume pickup on all charts, not one chart, literally all charts. Just see volume pickup. Let's see if we get it.
I'm with you. It's one of those, I've got nothing to do from the day trading side of things, but I've got my portfolio up there. So I hope it just, hey,
there
if the
goes
SPY's
the
up
XLI.
10% today, I'm a happy boy.
XLI is going for that 134 10 move that I just talked about, like breaking the high tight move there. So I could go with Bank of America here also and just try to ride and scalp, right? But I'm going to stay with the one that I have, which is NNE. It's looking good for the 32 break. So now I'm going to go ahead and set a stop. I'll be like mentally stopping for $47 at least in the green, but looking for the move through the 32 here for the breakout. Let's see if we get it.
Yeah, SPY is just right, very shallow pullback, right? Came right to that low and then that bounced again. But we saw one topping tail in this area before, so I'm really interested on this candle to see if we end up getting another topping tail here as well. Yeah, I'm thinking more and more with Rando there that it could just be because it's moved so much so fast that this could just be okay. Let's just chop around for the rest of the day. Let's frustrate everybody now. We blew out the Bears entirely, right? They've lost their shirts. And now let's just grind her for a while and just see. See if we can frustrate all the day traders here. So it would make sense to go to some of these smaller, these NNEs and right, these more little guys who aren't going to be as concerned with the overall S&P 500. They can kind of move on their own accord. Coinbase coming down here. This GRRR was the only winner I had today. We got HIMS, Firm. Yeah, everything's just looking super strong here.
All right, looking to take a little rip into this and seeing if I could at least just take half off, get myself back to break even, leave the remainder on for the bigger move here. Let's see if I could get it, guys.
Daily chart on these do look amazing. I was a holder of SMR for the longest time. I ended up getting out as it kind of broke down here. They're very interesting, just ideas in general.
Just riding it right now, riding the momentum also on the 9 EMA. Every 9 EMA pullback on the recent run getting bought up there, and so that's what I'm riding now. The resistance on that was around 31.78, so that's the pullback level that I'd be kind of holding to, and so risking about 10 cents here from the potential gains, trying to let it go for the 32 breakout. Now I don't think I'll get too much more than that 32. I think I'm getting about a buck away from that 31.20, which is about the flag pattern here. So even a break towards the 32s, maybe going to 32.20s could be a nice little profit take.
Yeah, this MLGO, someone mentioning in chat, just grinding higher. Anytime I zoom out, right, and I say this all the time because you're seeing them all the time, right? So this was a D-SPAC. Then it says it got to $12,000 a share, but it certainly didn't. That's something that had to do a bunch of reverse splits to get there. And then, yeah, nice little gap up today, and the gap up's continuing. So it's a nice little trade. I don't see any setup on it now. It's not certainly something I would hold for the long term. Just anytime I see, right, that's just immediate disqualifier for me. That means they couldn't figure out a way to stay listed on the NASDAQ a bunch of times, right? So they did a 1 for 10 split there and a 1 for 20 reverse split there. So yeah, but yeah, it's just a great mover. Again, these are the little things that when the market's like this and the market starts to get in this range bound mode, a lot of traders will go to. Because if the market's hot, the good traders will go where liquidity is. And then once the market starts to die out, they go to where there isn't liquidity, right? They go to these more junkier type names because these guys won't care what the market's doing. MLGO doesn't care if the market's up or down on the day. There's some news event or Discord room or something that picked this up, and that's causing the thing to move, and that's why people are trading it. And then everything else is just kind of whatever, right? These are very momentum style type of plays.
All right, looking good. Right back towards the high of the day on NNE, just tapping high of the day, looking for that expansion above 32s. There's a little size here on the level 2, so let's show you guys this so that you guys can learn a little bit more of our action here. I'm going to show you guys it straight from the screen here on our platform. There's the break of it. Let me hurry up here. Make your move, Mitch. Let's go. Let's go. There's 32.10s here, guys. So I'm going to go ahead and sell 50 into that. So boom, just sold 50 into that, right? And so what I'm essentially doing is just getting myself back to a break even close action, right? So at this point, I can just at least look for a bigger breakout here and look to get some gains, right? I'm not looking to have a crazy day because I was still in the red a little bit, but this just at least puts me right back, right? And so you guys can see the action there. Not much losing today, but just break even. A lot of action just trying to get the bigger move, finally getting the bigger move. Now I got to let it hold for the breakout, right? Let's see if we get this breakout above 32s. 31.80s will get me out on the rest. I'm looking for the big breakout here. Let's see, maybe it gets to 32.80s, some kind of bigger action as we broke through that buyer there and that sell there. Do you see this 4,000 shares there? There was a hanging out there right on that 32 break, and that's what we need to kind of get through.
On your level 2 there at 32.5. Yeah, another 4K.
Yeah,
sitting there.
Bigger traders, guys, bigger traders. Now let's see if we can break through them and just continue to see bidding action here and the tape kind of getting a little bit thicker there on the 32 pullback. So I want to see it break towards like 32.20s and then big action on 32 pullbacks trying to get filled.
So yeah, there's one thing, and I say all the time that there's no institution, no large person is going to show their hand like that. But the question I always get back for that, and I'll preempt that and help out the chat here, is okay, so then why do we see those big bids? And often they're either large retail traders who don't know that they can go and hide their orders, or they're people trying to scare the stock. You'll see that quite a bit too, where I know a whole prop firm that was shut down because what they would do is they were all sitting in a room, they'd all get short some name like that, and then they would yell something like pad the book. And they'd all put a whole bunch of fake offers on the book with all of their, like, each of these guys probably had $2-3 million worth of buying power, right? They were short a little bit, and then they just go and they would all put 10-20,000 share
Yeah,
offers.
and it will scare traders. It'll scare them.
It would scare, and this was before computer algorithms that would test those. But it was one of those things where it was just a game, and it was a game they would play. They would find something that was overextended. They would all punch in short, and they would just flood the book. So anyone who was looking said, "Oh, smokes! Now there's a whole bunch from the long side that are trying to sell their shares," and then let's sell before them. And again, it created this little game. But of course, that's called order spoofing, and it is highly illegal. So eventually, you
get snapped for it. Yeah, I think it's all about that it was a bigger group. Because I'll be as honest as I can. I see spoofing all the time on the tape.
Oh, it is. It's so hard to
stop place there, guys, based on the XLI pullback there. So giving myself the chance that if it pulls back, I get 31 and I'm back in the green. Not big green, but surviving. Break out above 32s. We keep riding the party.
Yeah, but the order spoofing, again, it's a very hard thing to detect. So that's why it happens all of the time. There's really nothing they can do about it.
Yeah.
England, actually, with the London Stock Exchange, I'm an old man telling old man stories at this point, but they actually found a really interesting way to do it where you pay a very small amount of money per order, regardless of whether the order gets filled. And if the order gets filled, you get that money back. And it was like, sub pennies, but per share. So if you want to buy, and I think there was two things. One, it was you get the money back if the order got filled, and then two, you get the money back if you left the order out for a certain amount of time and it didn't get filled and you could sell it. And then what that did is that shut down a lot of those games, because that would have caused those people that were doing that were playing that game, they would have had to get out or leave the order out there to not get dinged for hundreds of dollars every time they played this game. So yeah, it's an interesting way, but it's so insanely common. So again, the SPY is just flirting in this area. We have this trade drawn up. The reason I draw up these trades is because I'm not taking these yet myself, but I'm testing them. So it's one of those things where we have I'm just watching to see what would happen, right? Either we're going to break to new highs and then this trade would have stopped out, or we come back somewhere in this range and then it would have been like a possible 1 hour trade. But again, I'm kind of with what Rando said earlier, that we could be into this kind of chop slop mess for the rest of the day.
All right, guys, continuing to grind my trade up, but shout out to Autonautics there. He said that he made profits for the day and said, you guys have a great day. Head into work now. We'll be back tomorrow. You got a new sub out of me, and I hope everybody out there watching, of course, can do us a favor. Share it with other traders, right? That's what we want to do, is continue to grow here. One of the number one ways that you guys can show your appreciation for what we do every single day, absolutely free, right here on YouTube, Facebook, X, even out on Rumble, guys. We out on everything, guys. And the key there is I want you guys to share the stream with others. It can be the platform that you're on. You don't need to share a YouTube link specifically. Just share it with others so that we can get some other traders and continue battling here on the journey that is trading, right? It's not a one-day gig. It's one thing that you got to come in every single day and be a professional. We'll be doing the same thing right here. Hope you guys continue pushing forward. Looking to see if we can continue seeing grinds up. JPM still on the top end of the range. XLI recovered. XLF hanging on the 50 and holding very well. Small pullbacks tell me that that buy program could still be on here. And look at the SPY right back on the top end of the range. So looking good there. Check MLGO for big moves there. A lot of people talking about that one, holding well. But my thing with that one is the up moves are small and holding the 90 MA. That's scary for me. So when small caps, I want big moves on the up moves. That small moves on the down. That leaves room for a big cut down there. Now getting a move here in NNE, looking good there, guys. Nice looking recovery there. NNE. Now we're looking good, guys. I'm starting to cook here. Not a bad little move there as it starts to go higher. Now towards 32.20s and looking like it wants to continue. So just grinding the grind higher. One thing I said down here, guys, wanted to see the trend of the higher lows continue. And we're getting that action where we're getting that nice little pull right on that, right? So let's see if we can continue grinding here. Now 32.20s, and I'm just going to secure some more win, right? Now I'm going to 32 and watching this, trying to continue to grind higher and just making more of that cash, right? Now for sure going to be in the green for the day and doing my job as a trader, right? That's the important thing, guys. Let's keep going. Let's see what else is moving out there in the markets. Kicking it to you, Michael.
Yeah, just grinding higher, right? Just new highs here on the SPY. So that idea would not have worked, at least that time, right? That's not enough to make a decision on the trade, but yeah, just continuing to grind higher. We rested for a long period of time, had a nice little breakout, seeing a little bit of increased kind of volume and action on this breakout. So the market continues, right? It's not one of those, we're not resting here, right? We're pushing. So I want to just go and start looking around a bit, right? The Qs doing the same thing, which is great. You want to see broad participation in these moves. We have the IWM, which is also breaking out. And we can't say that too often. Usually the IWM is a bit of a dog there and not able to move with the overall market. So that's moving, which is great. So a lot of these names are looking really, really strong, and definitely looking like we're going to break out and push higher. So this, to me, again, it feels very, very buy program. Also feels very short covering. Like, look at how much deep green we're seeing here, right? Amazon up 3%, Meta up 3.5%, Nvidia up 3%, Tesla now up 10%. Holy smokes, Tesla!
Yeah, just Bank of America back in it, guys, back in it.
Yeah, everything is moving here. Good. I'm just kind of, I feel like I should sitting back like this because I got no day trades to make. But my swing trades, my long-term portfolio is doing very, very well. I actually even put out a tweet on the weekend that I bought a bit of that art coin just because the setup looked so good. So yeah, everything's looking good. We could just be back at it, right? So again, where I'm watching on the SPY, and I honestly did not think that this would come into play today, but it looks like it might. We talked about for people who are joining, just because there's more of us, is 575.50 here on the S&P 500. The reason for that is it's this prior low that happened right here, and it is the anchored VWAP from all-time high. So what the average price of the average market participant would be if you started to buy the market at the worst time. That's 575.50. Now, that's still a pretty big move today. So we're already up pretty substantially on the SPY. And if we continue there, that's another 0.5%, right? So that would be a wicked, wicked SPY move. Just from the overall market, we are already up 1.6%. So that put us up over 2% on the SPY, and then probably nearly 3% on the Qs to get there, which can happen, right? Anything can happen, but a nice little push there as well. So QBTS, I see mentioned in the chat there.
Small win there on QBTS. All right, not a bad one to take a look at. How are those quantum names doing today? I didn't really even look at those today.
Not great. RGTI, what's the other one? QUBT.
Ion Q's not doing too bad, at least if you look at the leader, right? Trade leaders now, I think, in this type of move. Yeah. At least that's what I'd be watching. Ion Q bounce back towards the 26.
Yeah, see, this is the kind of action that's interesting. When it comes to the rest of these, like the QBTS, right? Everything you have to do, in my opinion, you have to compare to the overall market, right? So the market is just ripping today. So
NNE.
If you own a stock that isn't ripping today, I think that's one of those times where you go, okay, now let me take a hard look at my stock and see. Because like we mentioned, right, Tesla, that's just been destroyed recently, is up 10% today. We have Nvidia moving. We have, Meta was looking great. Everything's looking fantastic, right? Everything's pushing higher. So if again I'm in a stock and that stock's not pushing higher, well then I'm worried. And that's something that I do a lot of when it comes to just looking at my trades and looking at my portfolio at the end of the day. If the market has been ripping and I own something and that thing just hasn't moved, or even worse, is down on the day,
Yeah.
that's something that I really have to, I just got to scratch my head and say, am I in this thing for the right reasons? Is it something that makes sense for me to be putting my capital and my time into? Or have I just bought a dog that's not participating in, again, what's a wicked rip for the market?
Interesting play right now off of the XLE. XLE is near the high on 93.08, but I'm looking at MPC on the 15-minute pullback after making an opening drive of 153.45. So that's the setup, right? The ETF showing the strength in the overall kind of sector. And then I'm looking at MPC as coming back to the 15-minute of Friday's action, which was the high around 150. Went to 150.14, so maybe it needs to actually hit that 150 to really kind of get that resistance, kind of new support. But it's one that I'll be watching to see if it can do a recovery back to 153 today, especially with the XLE staying strong. So.
Yeah, and right, it's funny, we're talking about XLE doing well, and we're talking XLI doing well, right? We're talking XLF was doing fantastic. So this is just one of those that if you see your local perma bear out today saying, oh, well, this was driven by tech or Tesla, or it's only 7 stocks, or whatever excuse they're going to come up with, just know that that's not true, right? The whole it's only 7 stock thing just killed me, because you can count and you can prove that's wrong. But XLF's doing great. Again, FXI, we talked about this a lot, right? These are why you kind of ignore these from day to day. You zoom out because there's been no movement here. I actually was buying a lot of Japanese stuff today, so we could talk a little bit about that. EWJV is the Japanese value ETF, and that's just phenomenal here, breaking out to new all-time highs. And just some of those names, I think IX was one that I picked up today. Yeah, some of these names are looking great, just these Japanese banks. So, hey, if you like financials and you like the international game, because that's been doing so well recently, here's international Japanese. So there you go. You get both those international, or you get Japanese bank. So you get both financials, and you get your international exposure as well. I've just been doing that because you look at something like the EM, which is your emerging markets ETF. That's been doing fantastic even when the market's been selling off. There's been a lot of talk about that, right? The sell-off has been kind of localized to just the US market, and we haven't really seen that so much in larger markets like the UK and all these different names. It's been pretty much just looking at the US market. That's the one that's been the heaviest focus there when it came to the drawdown. So EWU, I think it is, for the United Kingdom. Right, you can look at a lot of these names and they look great. You travel around the world, most of the world's doing fine here, and then again the US, because the trade war and all that kind of stuff's been having a hard time. So probably not interesting to anyone here, but I've bought some Japanese value stocks to add to my portfolio. Just kind of balancing things out.
All right, looking at SMR on the pullback here. NNE still held pretty well there at the top there. So I was watching NNE to see if it would make another breakout to the upside. It's kind of pulled back to this 32 spot. So it's a big key spot, but it could do the 15-minute pullback to the 31.60. So I'm all out of this one. It could be out of Bank of America here at the 42.92. That would put me back to break even. So it's just been like one of those days where we haven't really gotten the lift off. We've gotten certain type of move. SPY still kind of stair stepping its way up higher, which is a good thing to see, because like I mentioned, I wanted to see the SPY kind of lead a little bit more than the Qs. And I feel like it's been doing it, but it's been pretty much the same move all day long. We'll look to see if that changes up in the afternoon.
So this is the only thing that I'm gonna watch is on both of these. Right. You don't need to get too fancy with it sometimes, right? We've got a pretty wicked trend on both of these markets. I'll set an alert for when we're wrapping up here and just say, hey, let me know when these trends break. Again, no more day trades today. It wasn't a good day for that. I had 3 shorts and I lost on 2 of them and made a little bit on one. So I'll actually take that considering what the market did. Clear out the list, load up the list for tomorrow and get right back at her.
All right, so they're starting to see a little bit of a pullback out of Bank of America. It's still in the green today, but just a $1.75, right? So pretty much spent the 25 that I had in the green there to take that Bank of America trade, and it just didn't get back above the 43s. Back above the 43s, I think you get the 43.20s. The XLF pulling back a little bit there and seeing a little bit of slowdown here. So it's just kind of more, do you want to continue battling the markets or just seeing a little bit of the slowdown kind of affect the markets here? And I definitely see that a little bit slow down. There is some plays that are holding still towards the top end of the range, so continue to watch that. IonQ being one of those names that we just heard a mention of the QBTS. So I'd be watching IonQ, but that needs to hold compared to some other ones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's, we talk about this all the time, but conserve your mental capital. Like, it's one of those, for me, and I, kind of proud that I did this today, is I took my 3 trades and didn't really get much of it. And I don't have any temptation to go back to the well right now because, again, this is why we talk about swing trading and day trading and not looking at it one versus the other, but an attempt to do both, because I'm not bummed at all about the loss I took from the day trading side of things, because looking at my long-term brokerage account, it's doing phenomenally. So that's the beauty, again, of multiple systems, multiple time frames. It's why we have access to both of those at Trade the Pool. We've got day trading accounts, and then there's big revamp coming, I know, really soon, according to the fearless leader, to the swing trading accounts. For me, I'm very excited to try both and to have both. I'll move some of my algorithms that currently are making me money from the swing trading side of things over. Because then on days like today, you kind of go, okay, well, maybe I don't even need a day trade. The market's gapping up and ripping. Okay, well, that's good. I'll just, maybe sell some, take some profits from the swing trading side of things, and, unload a little bit there and lock in those profits and be happy for that.
Oof, big gap fill today on a smaller name. It was a mid cap, but TNXP, big move there.
TNXP, that one came up on my pre-market scanner. Yeah,
crazy
big
move
gap. Oh yeah, it came right to fill that gap right there, and now
there.
it just paid.
The sectors continue with the battle, man.
Yeah, everything's looking strong, right?
They just keep hanging on there, guys. They keep hanging on, guys. I'm wrapping up, guys. We'll continue to battle like always, guys. There you guys see it for me, guys. Nice $1.75 day, but battling. I would say this morning should have maybe nailed that smaller name, the UCAR. That was one of those where I just had to walk away. It's going to happen sometimes when you walk away. And the only reason I didn't take profits because I wasn't at the desk. But that can happen, guys. So we'll see what happens there. SMR is still holding on. I still like these nuclear names for swing alerts because I think that by the time you kind of really look at these, it's going to be a big bar type of day. And then it's kind of hard. You have to wait for the pullbacks. You got to be patient. We'll see what happens on those names. But that's going to do it for us here, guys. Smash the like, of course, like always. Keep battling. Keep up with Mike.